Hello! I am a longtime Apple enthusiast and a fairly recent vintage Apple collector. And currently I have about 30 compact Macs in my collection, and I actually need to get around to inspecting them all and repairing them if there's anything wrong with some of them. I've gone through about 25 of the compact Macs I have so far, just doing a preliminary check on them and kind of putting a sticky note on the side of all of them saying, okay, this is the condition they're in and this is what needs to be done to fix them. I have about 8 left, and I thought I'd kind of make a video on, just kind of what it looks like to just do a really like high level check on compact Macs just to see what state they're in. So let's get to it. Alright, welcome to my workbench, or at least the clean half of my workbench. The first computer we'll be taking a look at today is a Macintosh SE. This one has a hard drive and an 800K floppy drive built in. Generally, it looks like it's in pretty good shape. There's definitely a little bit of yellowing, as evidenced by the back here. You can see how really platinum beige this looks compared to the front here, kind of a tan yellow color. But overall, it's pretty clean. It does have, looks like an expansion card in there. Ethernet card, wow. Here, if you can kind of get a see here, that's 1 megabyte of RAM, 800K drive, and 20 megabyte hard disk. So there's the reset button, program switch. Let me flip it back around here to the front. Now, this still has the battery in it and everything, so the main thing we're going to hope for is that the battery didn't explode and there's no corrosion. The first thing I usually do when I take these apart, or when I get these, is I take it apart and remove the battery. But even before that, I just like to plug it in and see if we have a working computer at all. So for that, I just have power cable and an ADB mouse. There's no need to get the keyboards out for this. So we'll go ahead and fire it up and see if this computer's even alive. The mouse plugged in. Alright, and moment of truth here. So the beep is a good sign, and if you can see here, the in use light for the hard drive is on. It's making a bit of a grinding noise. Now typically the SE hard drives do not last. As a matter of fact, out of the 25 or so compact Macs I've gone through, I've only had one SE hard drive survive, and as you can see here, we've made it to the floppy drive screen, which means it's looking for an OS, which pretty much means we have a dead hard disk. We might be able to save it, maybe, especially if it's just a gunked up hard drive. We might be able to free the drive and get it to read. But let's just see if it can boot from an OS disk. This has a System 6 on it, so we'll just put System 6 in the floppy drive here, and ooh, that is a very gunked up floppy drive there. Definitely needs some cleaning. And okay, I do have one with System 1 on it. I really don't think there's an issue with the floppy disk. I think that's just the drive itself can't read. Oh, maybe there is something wrong with the disk. We got the Happy Mac, that's a good sign. And then eject. How interesting. Okay, so the Happy Mac means it did find the system folder on the floppy disk, but for some reason it wasn't able to boot. We didn't get to the Welcome to Macintosh screen. So let me go ahead and get my sticky pad down, and we'll just make a quick note for this one specifically. This one's just going to say hard disk does not work. say floppy drive needs cleaning. Now that's kind of chicken scratch there, but I can read it, and the next step will be just before anything else, we'll take it out. I'll open it up and remove the battery. That'll be for another video though, because we've got some other computers we need to just do some preliminary checks on. So the good news with this one is at least it booted at all. Some of these I'm sure we'll find don't do anything. So the next one on the table here is, let me see, a Macintosh Classic. This one's pretty dirty. The case is cracked right here. Quite a bit of yellowing all the way around. Pretty dirty on the back. But we'll see. Maybe it'll surprise us. I'm going to get us a little bit closer to the screen there. Okay. So we'll plug this one in and fire it up. And we'll see what we get here. Now the classic hard drives actually survive a lot longer than the SE hard drives do. So we might have some luck with this one. The screen's not even turning on and there was no startup chime. So already not too confident. Usually if the screen doesn't turn on, that means you have a bad analog board. Probably some leaky caps. The classics especially are notorious for leaky capacitors. So this one's, I mean, they're all going to need to be recapped. But this one looks like it might already have met its demise. And hopefully that's it. Just leaky caps and nothing nothing too serious like exploded battery. Okay, so we'll turn this one off. Sticky pad, make some more notes for ourselves. This one will just say screen does not turn on. Not turn on. Okay, because without the screen we don't really know anything else. So there's nothing more to say about that one. So until we can get the actual screen to come on, it'll be hard to diagnose any other issues. Alright, let's see what's next in the line. Alright. This one here, a Macintosh SE Super Drive, which means that we have again the hard disk in this one, and this has the Super Drive, which means it can read all the way up to 1.44 megabyte floppy disks. This one actually looks really clean. Ooh, looks like there's a label that used to be up here. Probably means it came from a school or something like that. But yeah, as you can see, this one looks really clean all the way around. So hopefully we got some good luck with this one. Again, the SE hard drives are not very, I don't know, don't last very long. I don't know what else to say about them. Like I said, I've only had one so far that's actually survived the 20 plus years. So we'll see what we get here. Startup chime, that's a good sign. I hear the hard drive spinning, or trying to spin up at least. The screen's coming on. That's a good sign as well. I do not see a working light here on the hard disk, but we do have a mouse. So now we just wait to see, yep, it's going to ask for an operating system. So we'll go ahead and try, I'm just going to do system 1. Just because that one, the other one seemed to be giving me problems here. We got a happy Mac, and then eject. Now I know this is good, but we'll go ahead and switch to system 6 disk one more time and see what we get. Weird. Okay, the floppy drive itself actually is pretty responsive and snappy. So it's still gonna need a cleaning. They're all gonna need a cleaning. But we'll try a note for this one. Again, hard drive does not work. And I'll put does not boot from floppy. Okay, I'll stick that on there. So the problem with most of these floppy drives is that when there's no disk inside, let me see this back here. When there's no disk inside these floppy drives, the actual heads stay opened up. And when you insert a floppy disk, they clamp down on either side of the floppy disk to read. So when you store it for a long time, these read and write heads are exposed and can get dusty, or even in some cases maybe a little bit of water spots or something like that on them, which makes it so they really can't read anything and need a good cleaning. All right, let's see what's next here. Another Macintosh SE. This one has dual 800K floppy drives instead of a hard drive. So we already know off the bat that there's no hard drive issues to worry about. But here, let me plug this one in because I can see just barely a little bit of yellow in there. And I believe that this has placeholder floppy disks in it. They're just little pieces of plastic that, yep, here we go. Should we check the other one? Perfect. So these here are actually meant to protect against what I was just talking about. They're just little pieces of plastic, but they sit in the floppy drive for storage, and they protect the read-write heads. You see there's I don't know if you can see that there, a little bit of protective plastic on there to keep them from getting damaged. So these floppy drives are actually going to be in pretty good shape. And we got to the searching for an OS screen. So unless something happened with these floppy disks, and I use them for testing a lot of computers, so it's possible that they've gotten damaged on a dirty floppy drive. Wow, I don't know if you could hear that. That was a very snappy floppy drive. There was no, see that? I just put it in, it snaps right down, versus a gunk duct mechanism that would close very slowly down the floppy disk. And that's, again, thanks to these floppy drive protectors. I wish more people would have stuck them in there. And this actually tells me that these disks are probably bad, and I'll need to copy new system software on them, which is unfortunate. And hopefully I can just put the OSs back on there, and it'll work, and it's not damaged from some of these dirty floppy drives. But we can see here that this got really snappy floppy drives, which I'm very, very happy about, and it booted right to the OS screen. So I'm going to go ahead and write seems to be fully functional. And I'll put a note, pending OS test. And that'll be something I do for another day. I'm not going to worry about that right now. Copying new OSs. I'm going to turn this off. I'm going to put these. I really hope you can hear that on camera, how nice these drives just snap right down. That is practically brand new. And something a little special, I think the only computer I have with this on it, this has an old Apple sticker on it. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah. I mean, I'm probably going to have to take it off when I'm cleaning. But it's kind of cool to see the old Apple logo. I wish I had some of those stickers sitting around. And actually, we didn't get a full look at this machine, but if we turn around here, this one came from a school. If you can read here, it says Reading School District. I'm not sure if, I guess Reading might be a city. But anyway, so that's a nice computer. It seems to be mostly working. So we'll jump to the next one here. We're halfway through. This one here is another Macintosh Classic. This one seems to be in a lot better shape than the first one. There's no cracked casing here. A little dirty, but that's pretty much expected for the age. The yellowing is at a minimum. And yeah, all the way around, seems like a nice, clean machine here. So, go ahead and plug up the mouse and power, and turn this one on. No beep, so that's already a a bad sign for us. The screen doesn't seem to be coming on at all. Yeah, the system's all plugged in. The hard drive doesn't sound like it's working at all. So we'll make a note for this one, I guess. Screen does not come on. That's too bad. These classics are the worst I have found so far in terms of having busted batteries. And it might just have been my luck because, you know, batteries get more sensitive with age, are, you know, more likely to rupture with age. So I wouldn't say that classics are necessarily more susceptible to it than SEs. It's just been my experience so far. All right, what do we have here? This is another classic. Actually, again, pretty clean looking. The yellowing might be a little bit worse on this one. But overall, seems to be in pretty good shape all the way around. And we'll plug this one in and see if we can get something to happen here. Okay, hard drive spinning up. I didn't hear a ding, and that doesn't necessarily mean that we won't see a working computer, but the chime means that it passed its self-check before it turned on, so we might be out of luck. There's a very faint screen. I don't know if you can see this at all. It's actually getting a little brighter now. And we have a happy Mac. That's a good sign. Welcome to Macintosh. This might be the very first computer we get to turn on. So, like I said, the classic hard drives tend to last. They're a lot, a lot younger than their SE counterparts. So these tend to work. And the classic hard drives, you can actually put into SEs. And I tend to do that just because they're a lot faster, they're a lot quieter, they're just a general nicer hard drive. So I usually do an exchange for those. Okay. So we're at a desktop here, and I don't know what this... Oh, there we go. TrueType is already installed. Skipping installation. Okay. The mouse is responsive. This is about time we got to a good working one. Now, the really good thing about the classics is that even if the hard drive doesn't work and it's just dead, the classics actually have System 6 stored in ROM. So we can still boot from ROM if it's just the hard drive that's giving us a problem. If there's anything wrong with the analog or the logic board, then obviously it'll take more work than just booting from the ROM instead of the hard drive. All right, so let's take a look at what this computer is. About this Macintosh. Okay, if you can read here, it's running System 7.1. It's got 4 megabytes of RAM, and that's about it. Let's see if there's anything on the hard drive here. Not much. Looks like Microsoft Works and Word program. So either Word Perfect or Microsoft Word. Looks like we got Microsoft Word. Okay, so, I mean, there might be some old documents on here, but in general, it's just got Microsoft Works, Microsoft Word, and yeah, our first booting to the desktop Mac is great. So we'll write a sticky note for this one as well. And this one's just going to say boots to system 7.1. And I'll go back and on these floppy drives, on these post-it notes, I will indicate once I've removed the batteries, which again is the very next step on these computers. Because the last thing you want is the battery to rupture and the acid to start corroding the connections on the logic board. We've got a couple left here. This next one is another Macintosh SE with dual 800K floppy drives. It's a little scuffed up, a little dirtier than some of the other ones. There's definitely some yellowing and stuff stuck to it. 1 megabyte of RAM, 2 800K drives. Pretty yellowed, pretty dirty. I guess we can't boot to the OS because my OS disks aren't working, so we will just have to hope we get to the floppy disk screen asking for an OS disk. So we'll turn it on here. Got a chime. That's a very good sign always. Screen turns right on. So the analog board is still at least in working condition. Again, most of these old computers already have leaky capacitors, and the fact that they haven't corroded or shorted anything out yet doesn't mean that they won't over time. So it's still a good idea to recap them always. I'm a little lazy and don't usually do it till I have to. But yeah, we got to the looking for an OS screen, so I'll go ahead and write a note on this one. Seems to be working. And then pending OS check. So again, all these need batteries removed, all these need their floppy drives cleaned, and in all honesty, all of them need to be recapped. We got one left, and this one is a little special. It's the only Macintosh Plus that I have that needs to be checked today, and this thing, I don't know if you can see it, is filthy. It looks like it's been, I don't even know, there's like mold growing on it. It looks like it's been left out in the moisture, and yeah. So we'll go ahead and see if it turns on. We got a chime. That's a great start. Screen slowly flickering to life. Oop, the floppy drive seems to think there's something in there. We just gotta wait and see if it asks for an OS. So far, nothing, and that might have something to do with this floppy drive. Oop, there we go. Okay, it is looking for an OS. So surprisingly, even though it's disgusting, probably the dirtiest computer I have, it does at least seem to be working internally. So that's a good sign. And that was the last one I had to check today. Actually, before I forget, let's write a note. Again, seems to be working. Pending OS check. Put it on the side. All right, and there we go. So we now have a preliminary understanding of where all the computers, where they all are in terms of their working condition as of right now. All right. Like I said, the next step on all of these is, first of all, removing the batteries as fast as possible to make sure they don't rupture and leak, and then also cleaning floppy drives, and then maybe trying to unstick a couple hard drives and testing them all again. There's a couple the screens didn't turn on. It looks like, just from what I see, it's something wrong with the analog board, but there could also be ruptured batteries associated with that. And unfortunately, usually what that means is they're not savable, the logic board. If the acid's been on there too long, it's going to corrode through too much, and there's not much you can do to save it, short of replacing the logic board. Which is fine, because I always need more parts computers and more shells, because I'm starting to, as you can kind of see over here, make aquariums out of these shells. It's a pretty common thing to do, and I found at Walmart a pretty nice, if I can open this up, 1 gallon aquarium that once you remove this handle up here will sit right up perfectly in the screen area, and then should make a pretty nice aquarium, I think. So, okay. This has been kind of my introduction to Macintosh repair. This is the very first thing I do when I receive them, and it's more of just a guilty pleasure. I should really take them apart and clean them up before I even plug them in, but I like to know if I have anything that works right off the bat. So my next videos will be probably getting in and in the most case, removing, just popping out some batteries. There might be some we have to desolder. We'll go in and just take a look at the inside of probably just these 8. These are the only ones I need to remove batteries from still. So we'll just start with that. Maybe do a little floppy drive cleaning. And then from there, we might even get to some component level repair in the next few videos. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you're going to stay along for the ride. See ya.